Hello, my name is Julio Diaz. Welcome to Guitar Memories. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce you an amazing bassist from Hoping All the Theorists Exist, Ryan Cross.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
How is going, Ryan?
It's great. It's been a great day so far, enjoying the weather and company.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Ryan, can you talk a little bit about yourself, please?
Absolutely. My name's Ryan Cross. I play drums and bass. I play bass for Hoping All Theories Exist. I also landscape. I do mechanic work and I do some home repair work, mostly to give me time for music. I can kind of make my own schedule that way. Everything in my life is geared around playing music. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Everything else is pretty boring.
No. Well, Ryan, how you start? Well, you said you're a drummer and bassist too, but you start with drums, right?
Yes,
Can you
yes.
talk a little bit about how you start about music by the drums?
Yes. Well, actually, the very first instrument I played was saxophone.
Oh, wow.
When I was in sixth grade, we did not have percussion, and so I played saxophone and then started practicing drums because that's what I wanted to do. And then in seventh grade, I was able to start playing drums and for the middle school band. And then I started getting into a little bit of jazz band, and doing drum line was my favorite. But that's pretty much where it all started in sixth grade, playing saxophone and drums. And saxophone was really cool, but I was always geared toward drums a little bit more. So when I was in seventh grade playing drums, I helped the seventh grade saxophones and the eighth grade saxophones while I was playing drums. And then I also played drums for the eighth grade band. And so that kind of was really helpful for me, that the band director at the time, I wish I knew their name, but that they let me be extra involved, and that kind of suckered me right into playing as much as I could.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. And how you switch? Well, because saxo, after that drums, and after that bass. How you switch that?
So bass came about when I was doing vocals for the band after high school. In 2016, we had a bassist, and they were a really cool person. They just weren't really the best fit for what we needed. And so I started learning bass and started doing bass and vocals, and fell in love with the bass because it is relatable to drums. So for me, learning bass was more like learning drums with a lot more toms. So it was a very percussive instrument for me at first, and I fell in love with it, being a part of the rhythm section again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, can you talk a little bit about the equipment we will use today?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess starting off with my first real amp is the PV TNT. It's a 600 watt combo amp. It's got a 15-inch speaker. It's got an onboard EQ. It's got an onboard compressor. I don't really use the compressor anymore, but it works really well. It's big, it's powerful. For a long time, I've wanted to upgrade it, just superficially wanted something cool. And to be honest, without spending a couple $1,000s, I have yet to come across anything that sounds better than it in all of the small to medium venues that we play in. So I've tried to get rid of it. I just keep hanging on to it, man. I love this thing. And then I guess next would be my pedal board. I got the classic tuner. I have a compressor with an EQ on it. This is a super affordable pedal. but I wanted something that was not going to add distortion or fuzz or any sort of effect to the bass as a compressor. And it seems like most compressors on the market, unless you're willing to spend a lot of money for a compressor pedal, add some sort of effect, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I found this guy was pretty affordable, and I bought it on Marketplace for $40. Shout out to the guy who sold it to me in Denton. But then I've got this is actually a guitar pedal.
Oh, wow.
That has a distortion side and an overdrive side. And I use them both kind of. I use the overdrive side, the fuzz, if you will, more for a lot of our softer parts, a lot of the more easier rock or jazz parts that we use. I'll typically have this fuzz on. And then a lot of the heavier metal parts, I'll typically have this distortion on. And then I've got this synthesizer, and this was a gift from our drummer, Brady Mayo. I don't even know half of what this thing can do yet. It's incredible. I've had a really good time playing with this. I've been playing with it for about a year, and I still hardly know anything. This is a Boss synthesizer SY1. It has 11 preset sounds and then 11 variations for each preset sound. And then you can adjust the tone or the rate and the depth of the frequency, and you can make this thing sound like anything. The only thing I know to relate that to is it's like having one of those 80s model Korg synthesizers, but plugged to your bass, but with your bass plugged into it. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm still learning about this.
Oh, cool.
And that's all that's on the pedal board rig. Just simple tuner, compressor, distortion, fuzz, and a synth. And then I have my baby. This guitar means a lot to me, this bass rather. I wanted a Carvin for a long time. Again, mostly superficial, but Carvin products are quality at least. And I got this on Reverb a while ago from a guy that's in another metal band, and he put some gold hardware on it, and man, it's just clean. It's in good shape. It has a dark glass preamp installed, so that these are active pickups. And it's got a 3-band EQ, which I'm a big fan of. I keep my bass pretty much always cranked to 11. And then the treb, I typically keep it very high. And then I just add a little bit of mid, unless I'm recording. If we're recording on the computer, I turn the mid all the way down and I crank the treble all the way up. But otherwise, I pretty much never move these for live setting. They're always staying the same. And that's all I got. That's
Oh, cool. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, do you remember your first bass guitar?
Oh, yes. So that was kind of out of a necessity for a bassist. And you've met the guitarist EJ. We have another guitarist. His name is Joey Heckman. And he was originally a bassist, but he played guitar in our band. And he actually gave me, I don't know if this is a permanent gift. He never clarified that. If he ever wants it back, it's his. But he gave me a bass to learn on that his father, may he rest in peace, gave to him, that he got from a pawn shop for a hell of a discount. I'll just say that. Let me go grab it. This is Raven.
Raven.
Yes,
Okay.
Joey had already named it before he gave it to me, and I would never change that. This is a Mexican-made Fender Jazz 5 with passive stock pickups or factory pickups. It's got a volume for each pickup and a tone knob tone knob stays cranked, volumes stay cranked. This thing is my first love. It's heavy, it's big jumbo frets, wide string spacing. That was a lot to learn on at first, but I fell in love with it. It's got a gnarly, clanky sound that I feel like you can only get from a jazz bass, and I absolutely love it. It needs a little work right now, so I haven't been playing it recently. I gotta get it abridged, but this is where it all started.
Wow, that's really, really cool. Well, I want to ask you how you learn. Well, you have the routines about the saxophone and the drum, but when you switch the bass, how you start to learn?
So that came from, I pretty much used my right hand like I'm drumming, and I use my left hand like I'm hitting notes, on a keyboard or a piano. And so it's very, very percussive style. I started out doing a little slapping and a little plucking, but I pretty much learned by playing the drums on a bass and then learning to use buttons as the notes. And again, thank you to Joey, who tabs all of our music out. Joey Heckman has tabbed out hours worth of music for our band alone. And so I've always had the blessing of having the tabs on paper or on a computer screen in my face. So to me, it's kind of like sight reading for saxophone. I see the button, I hit the button, and then I just followed along until I could play fast enough to play with EJ and Joey and Brady on drums.
Wow, that's really cool. And how you started with this bass, and for you was not weird to grow up to 5 strings. You just start to play with 5, and for you was natural, right?
Yes. I hear a lot about people, bass teachers, people that are bass purists maybe, saying that you don't need 5 strings, you definitely don't need 6 strings, you just need 4 strings. And some people even say you don't even need 4 strings, and that's cool. And I would agree. But for me, it was no difference because this was the first thing that I played, so it wasn't really about how many strings it had. This was what was available, and I got used to it, and it made my hands a lot tougher and made playing pretty much any other bass significantly easier. So that bit of hardship at the time really helped me out later on, especially moving to 6 strings with smaller frets and less string spacing. And it's a breeze to play that thing compared to this. So I would say it helped me starting out with 5 strings instead of 4.
Cool. Well, what is your influences? Because, well, when you play the saxophone and after drums and after bass, what kind of influences you have?
Well, after really getting into music and then finding inspiration for the band, after that, really, it's like the intensity of music is what really draws me in. I'm a fan of all types of music, but something that gets the blood pumping is just very attractive to me. So I guess what got me more into continuing to pursue that were bands like the Dillinger Escape Plan, just almost indigestible math incorporated with the most intense feelings that were, I don't know, can't like, you can't. I personally can't listen to Dillinger without getting super excited, you know. And so that being able to do that is like a goal for me, to be able to make other people feel intensely excited.
Yeah.
Dillinger. Man, I'm drawing a blank. There's so many bands, it's really hard to choose from. But Dillinger was a big one for me.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, can we listen your bass?
Absolutely.
Right now?
Take this guy off. All right. I'll show you a little insight to some music that we haven't played live yet. Don't tell EJ.
Okay, perfect.
This is, I might butcher this, but this is a song called Cosmic Quagmire. Sound a little different on the record, but that's a little bit of something, and that's just with the distortion on. Let me think of a fuzz part. I can play a little piece of a song called Monochopsis. Is a little bit of a lighter piece. Maybe some people might call it jazz. Some people might just call it their own name. I don't know. But let me see here. Yeah. Wait, sorry.
That's really cool. Sounds amazing. How you use the synthesizer and pedal?
So I have been throwing that in and out of random sections just to see where I can fit it, because I guess most of what we've been playing we've already kind of had written, and so I've been just using it as a filler effect when there's less stuff going on. Here lately, I have been putting it into a little bit more of like slower parts, just because I've had it kind of set to a setting that takes a little bit of time to set in, and so it's a little bit of a slower effect. So I've been using it in a piece that I think you recorded a piece of one of the songs where EJ pulls out a saxophone, and we all take turns soloing. I've been throwing that in the background to kind of fill in whenever he puts the guitar down. Kind of makes a little extra space. But there's so many settings on there. I'm always playing with it. Never know which one to leave it on, but that's kind of where I've been playing with it here lately.
Yeah, but it's just tools to create more music, and some uh, when we start to play with new stuff, you know, the your mind start to growing up and exploded about the effects. Yeah, when I start to play with some synthesizers by the on the computer, and oh, what kind of sounds I can get with that, and I start to compose some electronic music, and that's really really cool. And you when I saw you guys on the stage, and how you AJ loops on guitar and play the saxophone, and the atmospheres you create on the stage, and you're five people, but this time you play just three of you, right? And but you sound huge, like a really big band, and wow, and the people were excited about that, and that's really really cool. Thank you, Ryan, about that. Well, how you learn the techniques on bass? You research on YouTube, or you took some classes or something like that?
No, I kind of wish I had. Luckily, I had EJ and Joey, who already kind of had been studying proper form, where to keep your thumb and how to keep your wrists in good posture so that we reduce the risk of injury. Otherwise, it was just freestyle for me. I kind of just jumped in there. I've seen, like, growing up, seeing bassists like Flea just slapping all over the place, just beating his bass up. That's kind of, I guess, was mostly the inspiration. And again, linking it to percussion, it's a lot easier for me to keep a rhythm in that manner versus like trying to meticulously pick notes, I guess. And I'm a big fan of finger style, so I pick, I like to slap, I like to hammer and claw. But I think the most important thing to me is like practicing all of the styles, the techniques. And so very quickly I understood I didn't want to limit myself to just slapping or, being aggressive, because you can get so much more, a wider range of tone or sounds through using all of the things. So I mean, I forgot to mention this part, but I have a little collection of picks. I don't pull them out very often, but I'm not, a purist in the way that I think bass you should only use your fingers. I personally like the intimacy of using my fingers, but there's certain parts, especially in heavy metal, it makes more sense to grab a pick. And so I keep some picks on me just in case. I also keep my little Game Boy here. It's usually full of batteries, but I've been going through them lately. I always keep spare batteries on me because it's so embarrassing when the only times your battery dies is when you're on stage about to play a gig. So gotta keep spare batteries. But yes, as far as the inspiration for learning how to play form-wise, pick-wise, yeah, it was mostly just aggression. So,
Well, thank you, Ryan. Well, um, I want to ask you how you balance your regular life with music, because you uh, just said, okay, I have some jobs, uh, let me play music, right? But how you balance your job, your family, the band and your practice?
That's tough. It's a lot. It's a lot. Communicating with so many people, as far as having that many, different aspects of jobs. I mean, working for myself, I have to communicate with every individual person that I'm working with. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of staring at my phone. I'm not really a big fan of that. So if you've ever called me or texted me and I didn't answer right away or maybe ever, please forgive me. It's a lot for me to keep up with a phone in general, but to balance that and then be able to have a clear mind in order to play music, I think the only way that I can do that is the fact that I'm kind of a night owl. All of my jobs require me to rise early, but I get the most creativity and the most inspiration and the most motivation late at night. And so I pretty much just give up a lot of sleep, which is worth it to me. And my brain may disagree, but it already takes a lot of time to do all of that work. And then to add playing music, people that play music understand it takes a lot of time to be able to play proficiently, and I'm not even there. I mean, I could always use more practice, and then to balance a family on top of that, it can be a little exhausting. And luckily, my family, immediate and extended, they understand, and that is one of the most important things. The fact that they allow me to sometimes not be as present.
I'm sorry, my daughter, she's calling me.
Oh, that's okay. No, I completely understand talking about family. Yeah. Luckily, my family is very understanding of the fact that I may not be as present as we all would like. I miss events. I miss, sporting events, and altogether just hangout time, just fellowship, if you will. And for that, I try, and I'm still learning. I'm definitely not perfect at it, but I try really hard to just make sure that when I am spending time with the family, that my mind is there. And when I'm working on stuff, my mind is there. And when I'm working on music, my mind is at music. And it is a lot to balance, and I'm not the best at it. Sometimes I could definitely do better, but
Yeah, but it's a process.
yes.
Right? Okay. Well, I want to say to you, you're so brave because you just said, I'm in the band. We are creating music. Well, then another guy did not fit on our concept, but I will learn our zero. Just start at zero and start to play bass, and an instrument needs hours and hours to practice, and you just took this challenge and you played really, really good. Congratulations about that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, when you start to on this band, was hoping all the theories exist, or was another band?
It was this band.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, Ryan, if the money it's not a problem for you, what kind of bass you will buy?
If money was not an issue and I was gonna buy a bass, I think the first bass I would buy would be a custom Kiesel.
A custom Kiesel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would love to have a custom Aries, or the Zeus is pretty cool. The Vader, I've always been a big fan of the Vader, but I could talk all day about that.
Go ahead.
Oh man, well, I mean, it would be pretty cool to order another roasted emerald with an ebony fretboard. I'm a big fan of the ebony fretboard with no inlays. Superficially, I mean, I do think they sound good, but I think it just looks super cool when the fretboard is just clean. I would probably go with all black hardware, And again, I'm not sure if I would prefer a headed or headless. Either one would be cool, but I think I would probably go with a translucent green, like a stained green, but you could still see the wood grain and black accents. Yeah, I think that would be the coolest.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ryan, about that. Well, I want to ask you, what do you think about the community and the music community over here? Because I remember when I met you, I was doing the video blog on Halton Theater, and I spent time on both the stages. Yeah, but that night, the last, do you remember the last band perform on your stage, on the side stage, and just you, AJ, a little girl, and me was there, right? And they were from Austin.
Yes.
What do you think? The people just leave the the theater or the event because this day we had 20 bands performing, yeah, but the people left after they enjoy their bands, their friends bands, and just leave. Why do you think that support it's not enough for the all the bands?
That is a great question. I mean, I wish I could solve that problem. I would think that if I had to come up with an answer on that, sadly, I would think it has something to do with people's attention span growing shorter. I think that our modern technology has kind of closed people off a little bit in ways. It's opened people up in a lot of ways, but it's closed them off from the real world in a lot of ways too. And I feel like adventure or new things have become stressful for people. And I think that might be a part of it. I think that people just get bored with being, and it's hard for me to understand how you could be in a place with that much energy going on and want to leave. I personally have a hard time understanding it. In that band, I'm blanking on their name, and I feel really bad about that because I went and looked them up and I was listening to them. They are sick.
Yeah.
They sounded so good. They were clean. They were tight. The tones were there, and they brought the energy. And I have so much respect for that. For if you can play in a room of 4 people and maintain that sort of energy, like you're supposed to be doing this. That's what we need, and we do need more people to stay till the end of the event. But I don't know why they left.
Yeah, because well, I start to ask the musicians, the guests, about that because well, I'm creating a project, a band, yeah, and I want the people to support me. But when I played on the stage with my music and I'm trying to share my music, and I just get out the stage and left, why? Why you don't support the another bands? And the people, if you really enjoy this music, why you don't spend all the night when it start the very first band and the last band, you know? I'm trying to share with the subscribers, a try to get that cheap because a lot years ago I remember the people, well, maybe the very first band or 2 bands, and start to arrive the people, but they spent all the night listening the bands, and the last band was the headliners, and they spent all the night there. But I just get noticed the people arrive, so the band they want to listen, and that's it, and left. And that's I don't think it's fair for you guys. You are creating music, you dedicate a lot of time creating new music, and why the people don't give the opportunity for the new bands, right? I'm trying to send this message for the subscribers, and the bands are watching this all those episodes, right? And I want to know the concept. You guys, you're part of the community, and what is your concept, right? Well, uh, Ryan, what is your favorite album?
Ever? Oh gosh. That does. You bring up albums. I mean, relating to what you were just talking about, which I thank you for bringing that up, and I do think we need to talk about that more. I think we need to exploit that. People used to buy records or albums and listen to the album. And then people started buying an album for one song or two songs, and then we created LimeWire, and then now we have all these streaming platforms, and people just listen to one song or two songs. Man, I have a problem with that, because if you like the artist, the album is a snapshot of every bit of information you could possibly get from that artist for that period of their time in their music process. And it's a beautiful thing. If you only want to look at the parts that are the prettiest to you, I think you're missing out. But that's just me. But I think if I were to have to choose one album, oh man, I think that it would be Made Easy.
You can call different albums, but it's a tough question. It's a really tough question, because we have different albums means for different parts of our lives, it's a tough question. But if you want to call different albums, you can do it.
Well, no, I'm gonna stay true here. I do have one album, and I think it undeniably has to hold the first spot, simply because of how many times I've listened to the record. I did the math. I've listened to that record well over 1,200 times, through and through. I listened to it every day, sometimes 3 times a day, for almost 3 years, and it came into my life at a very, very important, I would say pivotal time in my life, which was about the time, it was right before I started playing bass for the band. And I don't know if it wasn't really a big inspiration as far as bass playing, but music in general and the power that music can hold. This is an album called Language by a band called The Contortionists. I've listened to that album probably close to, if not more than 1,500 times, and it still speaks to me, still gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, how impactful that record was to me at a time where it was a very dark time in my life, and that album gave me everything I needed to survive. If it wasn't for that record, I probably wouldn't be here.
Oh wow! Thank you so much about that. Well, this is an exercise for me to meet new music, right? And for the subscribers, and it's, if you start to connect with the podcast and watch over and over and over episodes, it's I start to feel I change music with people. You know, when I was young, I remember talking with my friends, and hey, do you have new music? Oh yeah, took this CD, took this cassette, and we start to listen all the albums or different kind of songs because was a mix or something like that. And during the process of the podcast, all the recommendation. Oh well, the I have two questions. What is your favorite album to understand more the human behind the instrument, right? And I start to listen Asia and uh, the Eagles. I rediscovering the Eagles. I listen Megadeth, and because I don't like Megadeth, but okay, I will do the exercise. You know, and yeah, on some point I start to feel I'm changing the CDs and the cassettes right now, but or right now I have the Spotify to discover the bands, discover really good albums, and discovering a albums that people recommend to listen, the the musicians, right? And that's the next question. What album do you recommend for bassists, the bass players? You said that album has a really good job on bass.
Oh, snap. Let me think. It's between two bands. It's between two bands, but because one band didn't really inspire me necessarily to play bass, it was more looking back on that band's bassist thinking, oh my gosh, I never realized when I was listening to that younger how crazy his bass stuff was, which was Coheed and Cambria. Their older stuff had some not super difficult or crazy bass lines, but the bass as a job, the bassist just was so good and a little funky and progressive, but more geared toward my playing bass style, and an inspiration for me, a much bigger inspiration for me as far as playing bass is concerned, would have to be Colors by Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah, I start to listen this album because AJ.
Okay.
I never hear that band before, but wow, wow,
Yes.
it's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. And I just told you, I start to listen new music. It's not just the bands I interviewing because you guys are amazing and listen black metal, death metal, funk, some kind of funk, indie. Uh, well, a guy from Colombia, like me, he play some kind of jazz and tropical music. He's really awesome guitarist, Mateo Orozco. Uh, all all the all the projects are really good. Yeah. Sometimes I connect more than others, but just doing the exercise and keep my mind open for new music. It's the same on the the concerts. If you let the people listen because you are there and learning new music and support the new music. You never knows when that band will be really huge. And I hope all the bands over here uh, could be really big, because I start to feel the what is the last big band. I think Muse from England. It's 20 years ago. It's 2006 or 7. Foo Fighters, but they are the headliners. But 20 years ago, they are the headliners too, you know.
Right.
And what what happened in 10 years? Because they are old, you know. What is happening with the new music? Well, maybe Ghost.
Yeah.
Ghost, it's really huge right now. Polyphia, but it's not for everybody,
Right.
you know. Uh, but you keep short. Right now, the people are rediscovering new metal, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, and they said, okay, that's cool, but it's the same. 20 years ago, they were really big, but 10, 10 years before, what kind of band really grow up? You know, but the people, just you said, the people are really involved on the technology right now, and they are, and the band was there, and the people, it's just scrolling and texting, and why you don't enjoy the concert, you know, the music. And yeah, we need to disconnect a little bit more. Yeah.
I think so too.
I try to do that on the concerts. I try to watch the band and listen to the band and get that kind of connection with the small band and the really huge band. I really enjoy to listen Green Day, Blink-182, Metallica, Muse. You know, I took my phone. I will say I don't do that. Yeah, I do for a minute, 2 minutes, and after that, okay, the memories, it's here. You know. Well, Ryan, thank you so much about that. And do you have an advice for new bass players, or maybe drums players, or people involved in music?
I would say primarily, definitely, if you're gonna start learning music, whether it is bass, drums, piano, saxophone, I think fundamentally the one thing I would advise or ask of people is definitely look up and cross-reference. You're gonna hear a million different things if you ask a million different people, but definitely at least put thought and effort and energy into proper form and playing in a way that you can learn while relaxed, even if the music is intense. I would say definitely just start doing what's comfortable and what you could keep doing in the long run, because if you start playing and you're straining really hard and your hand is in a weird position and whatever, things are going to be a little more difficult, and then your hands, your wrists are going to hurt, and then you're not going to be able to play as long. So I would think, very first off, learn some form, think logically about the way that your hand works, and apply that to learning right off the get-go. That's going to make things so much easier down the road. And then secondly, within reason, as far as your difficulty level capability, just learn whatever's fun. Make it fun. Now, aside from learning form, do what's fun. A lot of people are going to say, start with some scales. And if your point is to learn music theory, I think that's a great idea. But if your point is to just jam along with some punk music, I think you should just jam along with some punk music. And don't think too much about it, because what is fun is gonna influence you and make you feel like you want to keep doing it. And I think, the moment that the music, which is really easy to do, especially when you're playing long, very difficult songs, which I'm a big fan of, but when you start doing that and it becomes overwhelming and it turns into work, then what's the point in keeping it on? You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely take care of your bones, ligaments, all of that good stuff, and have fun, most importantly.
Thank you so much. Well, what is in the future for Ryan on the music? You have projects beside hoping all the theories exist?
Not anymore. I was in another band and I played drums for that band for a few years and had a great run. But that is no longer a thing for me. And now I have not only more time to put into hoping all theories exist, this is a time consuming gig. It requires a lot of practice and a lot of effort. And that's what I love about it. But ultimately, I think it's time for me to start making my own music. I play drums, guitar, bass, and I do vocals. Might as well start writing my own stuff for my own enjoyment. I think that is to come in the near future, especially now that I have been actually writing out more bass parts instead of just trying to follow along. So writing my own music is coming soon, and I think it's about time I start making just some covers, recording myself covering other songs, other bands' material to put on YouTube. I've been saying I need to do that for a long time, and me and EJ have been doing a music challenge, a 100-day music challenge, and he has been doing a lot of guitar work of all sorts. And me, this time around, and mostly last year when we did this, I've been kind of focused on just learning covers and just learning what inspires me and how other musicians write and play what they do. And I think that's fun. And so I think I should start off maybe recording a couple covers and putting them on YouTube and going from there, and then start writing my own stuff in the background. And then eventually I'll cover, obviously, Hoping All Theories Exist music, upload that. Hey, this is our stuff. This is what we do. And then I can start working on my own record.
I know about an app. It's really cool for that. It's been in the band. Support me.
Okay.
Yeah. You can play. Well, you play bass, and you can cut the bass and play up the. But the people can use your video and enjoy the drum. Enjoy, and if you really spend time on this application, you can discover really nice covers, because the people start to do something different on the songs, and they keep the voice but change all the instrumental. You know, it's really, really, really cool application
In the band.
in the band. Maybe if you want to use it or do content, the people can support you and give you a gift, yeah, money, you know, to support your creation. It's really fun. It's really, really fun.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
For sure. Well, where the people can contact you, Ryan, for, well, you just told you have challenge with AJ, but you want to share your social media or just the band media?
I'll share my social media. We do have Hoping All Theories Exist accounts on almost all of the social medias, but definitely Facebook and Instagram are pretty active on there. I am Ryan Cross on Facebook, and I am Ryan Theories on Instagram. Theories spelled with a 3, not a E. And definitely, you can hit me up on either one of those, and I might take a little bit of time to see it, but I'll definitely see it and I'll respond.
Yeah. Oh, Ryan, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this interview. You are really, really kind person. You're awesome with bass. Are awesome musician. And you talk about the music. You know. Thank you for accept this invitation on Guitar Memories. I hope see you soon on the stage or another part to talk about music and or watching your videos on YouTube and playing the covers and the music, the hoping all the theories exists music, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I do really appreciate this. Has been a great experience.
Oh, it's a pleasure for me to share your your story, and thank you for put your story in my hands to share for the world. You know, uh, well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Support the bands, please, and just subscribe, leave the comment, and I see you on the next episode with another amazing guitarist or bass player. Keep playing.